Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, as per the usual, Katie, and with me, as per the usual, it's Clay. I just want you guys to know that Clay and I have had a very rough 2 weeks.
Yes, we have. Let's go ahead and start off with the I guess good/bad news for me. I'm not dead, you know? I went to the hospital on Labor Day and it threw off my entire schedule for this week. I very much hate the inconvenience. Just want to say hi to Kyle in the chat here on YouTube. Guys, if you are listening post live, remember we are always live on YouTube Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just want to say hi to Kyle here in the chat. But yeah, I went to the hospital because of chest pains. And for me, it was just like, oh, my chest hurts a little bit. And it's kind of uncomfortable. Told my doctor, referenced me to a nurse. Nurse immediately after I was done answering like 20 billion questions, she was like, "Hey, go to the ER and don't drive yourself." I was like, okay." Went to the ER. Before I could even turn around to tell Abby, like, "Hey, it might be very quick," they already had the thing taped to my wrist and they were dragging me into the back of the hospital. I tried not to freak out. I freaked out a little bit because in my head, I'm just like, it's just a little chest pain. It's nothing serious. Ripped off my shirt, freaking tagging me with all of these wires, blood, freaking drawing blood. I think they did like 7 vials. And they're like, okay. And now we wait. And I sat there for 2.5 hours. And that 2.5 hours felt like a lifetime because I wasn't prepared. I didn't bring a book, which we were supposed to review today. Sorry, guys. It threw us off with that. I was just so frustrated after that. And everybody who messaged me like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I wasted 2.5 hours at the hospital," and they're like, "Oh, but at least you're alive, Clay. It's nothing serious." And I'm over here like I lost 2.5 hours that I will never get back again.
Yeah, but I've basically learned they're always going to tell you to go to the ER for chest pains.
For chest pains,
100%.
Yeah. And I told Abby, I was like, I shouldn't have said anything. And she's like, "No, you're supposed to say something because it could be worse. It could have been something." I was like, but
it could be. That's what you learn. But y'all, I had car trouble last week, which is why we didn't have an episode last week. So I do apologize about that. But when your tire pops in the middle of the interstate, and your PPD and PPA, like shit gets real. And yeah, and then Monday we found a leak that hadn't caused too much damage. So I got thrown off too, though I did get the book finished. But life just sucks sometimes. And I've got a 4-month-old who is apparently teething, and trying to learn to roll over. So.
Oh, those were fun days. I will say this. Ice with a t-shirt or a towel, like a small towel. Yeah. That's the easiest thing to start off with. And then of course you have like the different like teething toys that people still to this day are like, "Don't do that. You're gonna ruin their teeth." Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, she's gonna ruin my ears from crying so much. I gotta do something. So we were recommended by some of our friends with the whole thing about the ice and the t-shirt, because I think it was New Year's weekend and we didn't want to spend time with family, so we were literally staying at a hotel and had no resources except for, hey, let's go to the grocery store and buy some ice. That was it.
Yeah, we will see what happens. But yeah, rough 2 weeks. So yeah, let's dive into this. So if you see in the title, we're going to be talking about Acolyte cancellation reactions. I am more talking about the internet's reaction. I should have probably been a little more specific, but again, the postpartum brain just kind of gets you sometimes. Um, we reacted last week. In last week's episode, we are both incredibly disappointed. It was an
Mm-hmm.
incredible show. But we're going to talk about the 40 plus articles that have been made calling out Disney for their bullshit. Amanda's reaction, Manny's reaction, a whole 9 yards, you know? Like, we gotta talk about this. So, where do we want to start off?
That is a good question. I think, I not gonna toot my own horn, but I think I made a very fun thumbnail for this episode, showing off all of the headlines when we were seeing these reactions. I believe it was, what was Variety's? It was it Variety who had the because they're
I think it was its cancellation doesn't bode well for the future of Star Wars.
that one, because that one calls out more than just Disney. It calls out the people that were legitimately to blame for this cancellation. And I will still hold that to be true.
And you can say, and just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, you can say that it wasn't necessarily to blame, but in Amanda's reaction, which was very calm and maintainable, by the way, I watched her whole entire story and she's very calm about it. She was very reasonable. She didn't say anything specific, but the way she goes, yeah, I knew that was going to get canceled. And called out the people for their racism and sexism and unwillingness to grow speaks volumes, I think. So yeah, most of the 40 plus articles called out, hey, this doesn't look good because this was a legitimately good show that just needed time to grow. But also you cater to these fans who insult your cast and crew, and nobody's gonna want to join Star Wars. Tom, we've said it before. Tom has already stated authors don't want to come write Star Wars books because they don't want to deal with the reactions from people.
That sucks.
Kyle says the cancellation sucks for people like me. I haven't gotten the chance to see it yet, and now I don't even want to because I know it won't matter anymore, sadly. I would say that if you can get it right now, I think that shows a lot to Disney, hey,
there's this conversation that we had the last time we were on, which was 2 weeks ago. Again, we said we are sorry, but we were having the discussion with Adrian. Is it worth the hashtag save Acolyte, hashtag renew the Acolyte campaigns, all of that, the stuff that saved Young Justice and Zack Snyder's Justice League? We have to remember it's happened more than once, not just with DC properties. I was going to say Lucifer, but that's technically DC property. But it's happened with so many other things. I didn't think it was worth it because in my mind, and with my personal experience, I was tired after Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was like, okay, I got it. I'm so glad I don't have to do that again. Boom, Disney slaps me in the face. I can't do it. And that's me personally. Now, from the reactions that we are seeing, and again, we're moving ahead a little bit, but we've heard from a cast member that says, hey, my mission right now, season 2. So maybe it is worth it.
Yeah.
And if it catches, some steam and it looks like, hey, this could possibly happen, hey, I'm all for it. Let's go. But
Yeah.
right now, it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, let's do this. Like it's really hard for me.
I've already seen a lot because most of the things that I'm involved in on Twitter and social media nowadays are Star Wars related. And I've seen like people being a lot nicer. Like it's not like give me Zack Snyder Justice League or I will do incredibly bad things to my DC collection. No, people are still very reasonable. Like, hey, I saw myself in Star Wars The Acolyte. Like, can we please bring it back? Like something along the lines. Greg said, internet reactions are always a mixed bag of crazy. I personally didn't like the show, but I don't think it means the Star Wars franchise is doomed. I think I see what you're saying, Greg. I think a lot of people are like, the Star Wars franchise is never going to grow because despite, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but you have to be able to grow with your audience. And yes, Star Wars has always been meant for kids, and the kids like something else nowadays. Like
Yeah,
the fanboys of the 70s, not the current target demographic.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, watching my daughter watch different shows tells me that she's going to have a wide variety of tastes when it comes to the things that she is consuming. Kids, that tells me that if she's 1 year old and can tell me, no, I don't want to watch this. Oh, I want to watch that. Okay, after that, I want to watch this. That tells me that people older than her that are in the demographic that Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm is trying to say, hey, we need to grab this demographic while they're young so that way they can grow with us. They want those different things too. And if we are getting the exact same boring Star Wars stuff, like I said last time we were talking with Adrian, it's just going to be a very big disappointment.
100%.
Not just for me, but for these younger people that are like, hey, we're done watching this. Let's watch something else. And they don't get that something else.
Yep. And if you don't grow with your audience, if you don't constantly evolve your content, your people who are coming to watch these things, they're going to die eventually. Everybody dies eventually. Like you just have to accept it. And when the people who saw Star Wars in theaters that are like attacking these content creators, not the content creators, well, content creators, yes, because like we're going to talk about this later, but like a bazillion Star Wars podcasters have been attacked for defending their opinion on saying, hey, can we renew the Acolyte? Like, that's the unacceptable part right here. Like, did I call Snyder fans crazy? Yes. But did I go into anybody's mentions and go, hey, you're crazy. Like, shut up.
It's very... I will never love the experience of the internet. Yeah, I think it's very fun at times, but the world that we now live in, where people are openly hateful towards things. Like, Katie, I know that you've been supporting my content creation on the video game side on Twitter, and I already have somebody like commenting on my post and saying, hey, nobody plays this game. Like, hey, why are you doing this? Like, and I'm just like, why? Like, you are spending your time. And I did see a post about this because somebody apparently commented on an Acolyte video saying something about like the Renew, campaign or whatever. And they're like, that show is trash, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about it. And then they responded very quickly with, well, you cared about it because you care so much that you are willing to watch a full video or look for a hashtag and then comment about this hashtag. If you didn't care about it,
why are you wasting your time?
Yeah.
Spend time with the things that you love. Stop searching for things that you hate. It's not worth it. you're just gonna drive yourself batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's insane that people do this on a daily basis. I don't understand. I really, really don't. Greg is saying, I don't agree with people being attacked for liking what they like or dislike. Everyone is entitled to voice their opinion without being hateful to other people. And that's 100% what we're trying to say. With the reactions that we are getting out of simply saying, hey, we as a collective like this show and we're sad that it got canceled. And it's one thing if people were like, okay, I didn't like that, let's move on to something else. No, these people are like, yes, it's canceled. Yeah. Like, do you understand that if you were a fan of Star Wars, you're happy with never getting anything new?
You're gonna get 500 spinoffs of The Mandalorian a dozen times.
That I'm so confused by that logic. Like,
okay, you didn't
my
like
brain does not
okay,
compute
you still have
that.
all this. Like, can you like go enjoy The Mandalorian? You like, I don't care if you tweet a dozen times about how much you hate something on your own feed. If that's the way you want to spend your time, then great. But if you want to go to somebody else's feed and attack them and say that they're an R word, like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah, no, I've seen some very nasty things, and one I can't even remember his name. What was the dude that got like oh so famous for wanting to basically chat GBT freaking Hamill's voice into his YouTube
Probably
videos?
SWT. We're not going to say his actual name.
Yeah. So he reacted to
Amanda's story.
And people were pointing out some very interesting choices in his way of reacting to her comparatively to a white male. I'll just say that. And it's very telling. It's very telling. And I don't get it. I don't get how people can say that they are fans of something and spend 99.9% of their time in that fandom hating it.
Yes. And especially when the fact of the matter is that Amanda has been attacked since day one. And Ahmed Best and a couple other actors in the Star Wars franchise came out in support of Amanda and like tried to say like, hey, like it happens, but like don't let it get you down, please. Like you guys did an incredible job, basically. And like that just means a lot to me to see people like Ahmed Best and others like coming out and to support somebody who's like getting beat up. Like there's still people in her like posts like from years ago saying, haha, I'm glad your show got canceled. No, that's not okay.
I again, I don't understand it. There was well, let's just go ahead and jump into the actual article.
Okay, well, you pulled that up. I'm going to respond to All in the Game. So, All in the Game said, have any of the other Star Wars shows been officially canceled by Lucasfilm? So the answer to that is no. Ahsoka, Natasha Liu Bordizzo said that Ahsoka season 2 will start filming summer 2025. Which is after The Mandalorian and the Grogu finishes shooting, which we'll talk about later. But Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, all of those have kind of been left off into oblivion. So the fact of the matter is that the Acolyte was also, even though Leslie Headland stated, hey, I've got plans for more seasons, like everything Lucasfilm has promoted besides things like The Mandalorian has always been touted as a limited series. So you could have just left it and said, oh, yeah, we're good. Like, I mean, people are still clamoring for Obi-Wan, and some people are still clamoring for Boba Fett season 2s. Like, it would have still happened, but it would have probably gone the same way. Like, I think Acolyte picked up more people wanting a season 2, but like, you could have just left it and said, oh yeah, we're not going to talk about the Acolyte. But no, then you bring out Manny for D23. You already promoted him for Star Wars Celebration 2025. And the fact of the matter is that stuff has come out that a writer's room for season 2 was being gathered in February for the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Like, everybody who's a scooper in Star Wars basically confirmed that and was like,
yep.
Yeah, there was a writer's room happening.
Yeah.
And now there's not.
And on the game says it's the official announcement that I don't get, because he also says, oh, so are shows like Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, etc. still ongoing shows? The only one that has semi been confirmed, because I feel like there was a small, like, because we talked about this inside the was inside the Mandalorian Grogu announcement.
Grogu movie announcement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, Natasha Liu Bordizzo has said they're filming next summer for Ahsoka season 2.
Yes.
Everything else is kind of like, oh yeah, it exists, but it also doesn't. Like,
yeah. And I think that is so silly. Again, that Disney and Lucasfilm have to literally go out of their way to say, oh, this show in particular is canceled, when there is no word on the so speculated Obi-Wan season 2. Do you know how many people were talking about Obi-Wan season 2 for like the 3 months after Obi-Wan?
Yep.
That within itself, like, it's so frustrating, this whole situation. And
that's the part we're saying. The official announcement only feeds into the toxicity.
Exactly.
It only does.
Yeah.
This was a deliberate statement. And you can say, well, like, they didn't say anything, but, like, come on. Like, nothing has been officially canceled that is a major IP.
And that's what I'm talking about. You have streaming services, Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, Max, all of these other streaming services, Amazon Prime Video. They make announcements when shows cancel all the time. All the time. And Disney, for some odd reason, is just like, we're just putting out content. We're not going to cancel anything. We're just going to put out content. And if we ever feel like making a season 2, we'll make a season 2. It's just rolling in the dough, blah, blah. But this show in particular, we have to cancel this show.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, in the idea of, hey, nothing's official until it's on StarWars.com, we say that. But IGN, Collider, Deadline, Variety all said they spoke with a Lucasfilm representative.
Yeah. Forbes, IndieWire, Empire, like, it's all the big guys that were writing these articles. And that's what I wanted to confirm. The cancellation doesn't bode well for the future. That was actually IndieWire, not Variety.
Okay.
But it's just so frustrating. It says here, and yet the cancellation of the show is despite the hell of a cliffhanger ending with the show Amandla and Osha turning to the dark side. I lost it. I was gonna bring up a point that this article said. Either way. As we were saying, all of these articles have one thing in common. And it's like Katie said in the very beginning. It is every single person calling BS on Disney. This doesn't bode well for the future of Star Wars, but it doesn't really bode well for us fans in like looking into Disney. It's like, guys, like, for me, I don't know how to word this exactly, but because I feel like sometimes we just go on a constant like circle with a lot of these things. We just want to hammer it in to say, hey, and you know what? I might be a huge hypocrite because me and Abby are possibly going to Disney World for Amberlynn's 5th birthday. But like, Disney may act like the best and it's the happiest place on earth and all of these other things. But I'm not entirely sure if it's for us Star Wars fans. And that sucks.
I would agree, but I would also disagree. But that's because we are readers.
Yes.
In the books of the Star Wars universe are more catered towards the fans who want the universe to grow.
Yes, but again, as we said prior in this same conversation, editors are like, I don't know if they're struggling. I don't think they're struggling. But for the fact that if you think as a company like Random House Worlds is like, hey, who would be the best person for this book? And you're like, oh, I got it. You go to that person and they say, nah, I'm good. I see how people react to Star Wars. If that doesn't sting, like that kind of gives you the ick. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm enjoying what I'm reading right now, and I will continue to read it because, like you say, they cater to us. It's the stuff that we want in the Star Wars franchise. But how long until they have to just be like, hey, this is just kind of like our circle of writers because nobody else wants to write for us?
I mean, but doesn't it already kind of look like that? Especially with Disney publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just be real.
100%.
All in the Game says, are we to expect some level of toxicity towards all non-Mandalorian, and I'm assuming he's saying like meaning era movies / shows going forward, because it sure feels that way. I would say anything that Dave Filoni is not involved with, like day to day. That
well, because here's something: is Filoni going to be involved heavily in the Rey Skywalker Return movie?
I would bet.
And I bet you anything there's going to be that toxicity in that movie.
That's a true point. That's a true point. But like, I think because season 2 played towards the nostalgia, could be the Mandalorian specific stuff. Like everything in the 13 BBY is not going to be attacked because they gave us Luke Skywalker. Like,
yep.
Yay.
Because we keep talking about in the GUA chat, like, the Dawn of the Jedi movie, whatever it's gonna be called. Like, come on, like, Mangold, you can do it. You're gonna make a great movie. And Travis is always like, I don't know. It started to get to that point, I feel like, for me, because
it's supposed to be Mangold's next movie. Like,
it's
call
supposed
me a
to
positive
be.
schnob.
And I am totally down for it actually getting into production. But here's the thing. If there is one minute ounce of something that will get this toxic circle fart cloud that is, they call themselves Star Wars fans. If there is even a minute ounce of something that will scratch their head, they will throw everything at the wall. They will scream until they're blue in the face that it sucks.
I mean, yeah, because they didn't like that a black woman was cast as the main character in The Acolyte. And day one, her casting announcement came. I hate your guts. I can't believe you were cast in this. Your TV show is going to be canceled. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to talk in circles. Okay, Greg says Disney Plus Star Wars was a terrible thing to happen. Star Wars, I'm assuming you're saying like Disney buying Star Wars was a terrible thing to happen. Star Wars already had a ton of content they could have put on screen and been very successful. Dive into Revan, Bane, or Thrawn.
Wait, is he saying Disney Plus or Disney Star Wars?
I think Disney Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, because I kind of get it to the fact where he's saying they could have dived into Revan, Bane, Thrawn, because that is, of course, what is now considered legends. Yeah.
And he said,
Greg
do that
says,
and you get away from the Skywalker stories. Disney is more about money and quantity than quality, I feel. Unfortunately, Greg, a lot of the things that you are talking about still dive very much towards the Skywalker saga. Yes, you have Revan and yes, you have Bane, but Thrawn was all Skywalker saga. Like, the Skywalkers are intrinsic in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, the Hand of Thrawn duology, like all of that. The Skywalkers are necessary to those stories. And Star Wars Legends has a super weapon problem. In the 20 years alone after Return of the Jedi, there was 6 super weapons. Like, and then you have the Yuuzhan Vong who come in with like 8 more super weapons.
We are literally talking about that in some of the stuff that we are reading for this show. And also, On the Game is 100% correct when he's saying Disney Plus demanding a ton of content from both MCU and Star Wars overall has not been great. And the one thing that me and Katie have said when it comes to, and I genuinely think that it has to happen with the MCU as well, is the fact that the best part of Marvel and DC, I'll take these two just because they are the big two in comics, but the best part about some of these stories is we, as the audience of a big screen movie, see superheroes as one genre. Whereas when you look at comics, the superheroes are in multiple genres with superheroes inside them. Star Wars is and can be that exact same thing. It is a galaxy far, far away, but we're always in this teeny tiny little space.
Yep. And you can say, oh, well, what is his name? Bob Iger has come in and he's like trying to train Disney Plus better and make everything longer standing versus having a ton of stuff dumped on Disney Plus 24/7. Yes, but then we get back to the original point that saying the Acolyte was canceled and having that be your first major IP that was canceled is the problem here. If you were going to put out an announcement that things were canceled, you should have put out a general announcement and said, hey, Loki is done. Book of Boba Fett is done. Obi-Wan is not coming back. Like, there should have been a general statement that said, here's what's canceled. Like, some kind of press release. That's not that hard.
Because I think every 3 months or so, I see an article from comicbook.com or from Variety or from Forbes or Collider that's always like, here's everything leaving Netflix and here's everything coming to Netflix. And it's these things, it's a giant list, and it'll say the title, it'll say the season that it's on, and it'll say renewed for this season or canceled. This is the final air date for last season. Like, it shows everything. I have not seen that at all from Disney Plus whatsoever. And I think that is a huge issue because you have this expectation from people who, and I've heard this many times before. I'm not currently a subscriber to Netflix, but and the reason why is because, one, it's way too damn expensive right now. But some of the shows that I honestly want to watch this year are not even coming out until December. So we're waiting until December. We're going to binge everything and then cancel it again. But there's some genuine people out there that have subscribed to Netflix and then threw away their, account settings and they can't cancel it. They're just like, I'm just going to be subscribed forever. And it's become like this normal thing for them when it comes to Netflix. Disney wants that to be them. But when there is no expectations on, hey, we're going to get constant shows of what we like and what, something that we can dive into all the time, like, something needs to change at Disney for that to become more of a regular thing. Because, yeah, we who are hosts of this show are constantly looking up air dates, are constantly, hey, what's coming out in the next year? We are always in the know. But if you were to tell me, hey, what shows other than Disney, other than Star Wars and MCU related, what's coming to Disney Plus? I would have absolutely no idea.
My mom has absolutely no idea. When I didn't tell her that there was a Deadpool Wolverine movie coming out, and as soon as she found out that Hugh Jackman was returning for Deadpool, she was like, why didn't you tell me? Like, she depends on me for this stuff. Like, I had to tell her that, like, the Midnight Suns adaptation for Twilight was coming to Netflix, and, like, they were going straight to series, because if that had come out and she had found out about that from some other means, she would have been pissed at me. Like, nobody else.
I put that
cared.
in our chat for you, by the way. Like, I 100% did.
I appreciate that, because that was the only way I know. It wasn't on my Twitter feed anyway. Okay, so let's talk. I think the only cast reaction we haven't directly talked about was Manny's. And specifically this one comment from Dragon Con this weekend. Where he said, when asked, what is your goal in life? And Natasha Lou Bordizzo said something along the lines of, like, I am getting a van, like, because I think she wants to do, like, a cross-country tour or something. Manny said to make the Acolyte season 2.
Yeah. And I'll be completely honest. He, as a character, probably has a little bit more of a longevity. And the only reason why I'm saying this, we have no idea what's in store for Osha. And I think that her character alone, being the first to bleed a crystal on screen, on TV, not technically first on screen because that is from Jedi Survivor, but seeing it in live action with Manny, I didn't even realize this or think about it until I saw somebody else post about it. His character has killed the most Jedi on screen than any Sith
other than
in
Anakin
history.
Skywalker.
No. On screen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Because, yeah, Anakin Skywalker killed a whole bunch of younglings. We didn't see that.
Yeah. You
Manny
are accurate.
Killed the most Jedi on screen And the only other person who held that title as killing the most Jedi, I think, was Count Dooku. I think
Yep.
is what had been said in the post. So like he has like this new like championship belt, and he is like he has a lot riding on this. There was a lot of potential story. We talked about it like, hey, you know, season 2 could be full of flashbacks and all these other things. And there's this idea of who he was as a Padawan at the academy, like all of these different things. So, yeah, I think he would want to fight for that.
Yeah.
And I think
And
it's awesome that he wants to.
And I also forgot about this one, but he also said in a different panel, we are still fighting for the show.
Yes.
So that talks a lot about the behind the scenes and everything. I love Amandla, but you are right. They might see Manny as more potential long term because of the connection he makes between Plagueis and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the lines, he's a connection thing.
And that's what I mean when it comes to the idea of Star Wars. He, as a character that is seen as the possible pupil of Plagueis, like people are gonna be like, what is that? Like, we got to know that story. That can hold a huge staple that is the history of Star Wars, you know?
Yeah.
So I
100%.
think that's why there's like this possible weight on Manny as like, hey, I have a lot writing on this. And of course, I think again with all of our theories, regardless of if any of them were ever something that were to become true, because trust me, there was a lot of them on Twitter throughout this show. We don't know what would have inevitably ended up happening to Osha and her sister. So I still genuinely believe that they were a focal point to whatever was potentially going to be, of course, Emperor Palpatine, like in his grand master plan for what we see through the Skywalker saga.
Yep. All right. So we're at this point. Greg did say in reference to Manny, he was the best part of the show. I can agree and disagree with you at the same time.
He was top 3.
So, top 3. We had more stuff drop over the 2-week period. Specifically, Sigourney Weaver confirmed that she will be a part of The Mandalorian and Grogu. And there was a theory that she could be replacing the current actress, which I cannot remember her name for, Peli Motto. Which I hope not, because I love that actress. I think she did an incredible job.
It's a little bit of a nightmare thought. We did make this joke when Sigourney was first announced. I think it was actually Adrian who pointed that out. I think it would not be great. The actor is actually John from over there at the Resistance podcast, he actually tweeted out a while ago and said, is Sigourney Weaver's character going to meet Peli and tell her she likes her style because they have the same hairstyle? I think that would be hilarious. But I don't think so. I think it would be a very big slap in the face to that actress who plays Peli to be like, hey, you're cool for television. You're not cool for the big screen.
Yeah.
That would be a huge slap in the face. Because if that's the case, Pedro Pascal, he's good for movies and television. But why does he get the chance to be in the movie but not her? You know?
Yeah.
If it's the same characters. And I think that would be even more confusing. That if this is all in the same universe, why only recast for a movie? But like, say her character comes back when the show comes back to streaming and it's her again. It's just like, why? Like,
Yep.
that just would not make any sense whatsoever.
Yep. Bye, Greg. So this is something that I found interesting. From Fan Expo Canada, Rosario Dawson was there, and she interviewed with Joe Deckelmeyer, excuse me, and said the World Between Worlds scene in Ahsoka is one of the few scenes not shot on the volume. I think that explains why it looks so good. Is it dangerous to say that? Is Kevin Feige or Dave Filoni gonna come shoot me with a sniper rifle?
It was interesting when I saw that post because it looks like the one scene that would need to be
Right?
in the volume.
Right? But it looks incredible.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's a horizontal shot, they wanted like an actual stage versus like something cylindrical.
I think so. I think it just fits very well. Also, I want to go back and watch that scene again to see if they ever played with the ratio, with the screen ratio at all, because I feel like that would have also kind of made it more like, so it's incredible what Star Wars can do without the volume, and they need to do it more often. I'm just going to say that. Because again, do you know what else looked really, really good and was not all shot in the volume?
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte.
The gasp.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Exactly.
Sarcasm, if anybody can tell. Okay. Did you take? You probably didn't have time for this, but the Dragon Con 2024 Star Wars trivia qualifying round is available,
and I might do it over the weekend and then share my results.
It might be a topic next week because I took it, and I got a 29 out of 50, which I think is my best score ever.
Now, remind me, because I feel like we talk about this every single time it happens. This is like the hardcore, most difficult Star Wars quiz that has ever come out, right? Like basically every single year.
Certain, like there could be other things, but this is the hardest one. Like they have a question on there, and they put this in the question. And they put this in parentheses. This question will remain on the test until at least 25% of you get it right. This is its 6th year on the quiz. I died laughing when
that is amazing. That is amazing. What's the question?
I can't tell you that. You're gonna take it this weekend. Also, I don't remember.
Oh, God damn it. I was gonna say, because if I can help get that question off the quiz, maybe I can help a lot of people next year.
I was super proud of myself because the questions that I got wrong, I was between the correct answer and the answer I picked, which has never happened before.
One thing that I need to know, because depending on your answer, is going to get me to take the quiz or not.
No, you're going to take the quiz because we're talking about it next week.
Yeah, man.
End of discussion.
Okay. So, question is, how vast are the questions and the knowledge of everything other than TV and movies?
Pretty vast.
Okay. So,
there's some High Republic questions. There's some other
by Legends questions.
No, there's no Legends questions. It's just canon.
Okay, just canon? I'm good. Well, scratch that. I haven't read every canon novel, so I might be screwed. But I've gotten to know a little bit more about Star Wars since we've been doing this podcast. So I might be, if you get 29 out of 50, I can easily get 10.
My sister got 18. So
Okay. If she can
and
get
she's
18.
not read any books.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better. Okay.
And the passings, so this is the qualifying quiz. To get into the finals at Dragon Con this year, you needed a 34 out of 50. And I will say this, because I saw this. I think Alex from Star Wars Explained. Okay, so he's like very vast. I tell you, he got a 36 on the qualifying test.
Hey, nice.
So, yeah. So we'll talk about that next week, and we'll go through like some of the answers and stuff and everything.
Okay. I will make sure to take the quiz because I believe you even shared it on your Twitter, so I know how to find it. So
yes, it's also in the Star Wars Alliance chat. So I'll text it to you.
It's like you can't run away from this, Clay.
That is correct. You can run away from a lot of things, but this you cannot. So at Dragon Con, Dominic Monaghan, I think is how you pronounce his name, was there, and he was signing things. And he actually signed the Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire, which is the book written from his character's point of view.
I think that's pretty cool.
Chris Kimshaw. I think that's pretty cool. He had this is Patrick Wheat who tweeted this picture and like the signed book and everything. He had Patrick Wheat write down the name of the book so he could go buy it and read it because he was so intrigued that his character had written a book. I love
that's cool.
This is the best thing about Star Wars. Like,
yeah, it's a very unique idea for a novel. You know, for a historian inside the Star Wars universe to write a novel about the history of Star Wars. Yeah. I think that is very, very intriguing, which is something that we are still planning on reviewing. It is, from what we have heard, a very heavy book. So we are pushing that review until later this year, but it is on our schedule. So be on the lookout for that when it finally drops.
For sure. The last two things. This one is super quick, but Star Wars Outlaws apparently features a reference to the Purge of Mandalore and confirms that the event took place in 3 ABY, so during Empire Strikes Back.
Which I think is a little weird. But not
remember,
really.
This is a galaxy, and the Empire had billions of troops.
Yes, this is very true also. And again, it's why it's called Star Wars. Like, the war does not just happen in one place. Sometimes it happens in a lot of places all at the same time. I need to know, and Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, there is still no story about this specific event.
Correct. Just what we've seen in The Mandalorian.
I need that story. Correct. I think this would be an amazing novel. Would be The Purge of Mandalore. Whether that be a Bo-Katan story or whatever. I think that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. I would be intrigued, but I don't think it's going to happen until we are outside of The Mandalorian.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think so?
Because Filoni's going to play into some flashbacks.
So you think he's going to basically suck it dry and be like, oh, here's the leftovers. You can do whatever with it.
Yep. Yes, I am. That is my thought exactly.
That is very
sad. The last thing that we have to talk about is the release schedule for September 2024. I found this interesting because there's a fancy graphic for the High Republic and everything that Michael Siglain put out. So if you are interested, the Acolyte Kelnaka one-shot is out today, September 4th. I've heard good things. Um, Echoes of Fear by George Mann is out today. That is a 4-issue series with Dark Horse Comics. And everybody I know who has gotten the early release copy for this comic series has said this is one of the best comics to come out of Dark Horse.
That's actually pretty insane.
Yeah.
I have heard, like, literally just today, because again, guys, I can't share a lot of information at my job, but I now work on like the distribution side of comics, and I've heard some things about Dark Horse. So
Don't get fired. Don't get
no,
fired.
I'm not gonna get. I'll just say this: someone, not going to name names because I'm not gonna do that, has said at my job, I'm surprised Dark Horse is still standing. Yeah. Yeah. So two things excite me about this book. One, this Darth, what was his name again?
Ravi.
Darth Ravi looks very intriguing. So, boom. And you can't tell me there's not a single soul who hasn't even, like, somebody, there could very well be somebody who loves reading comics and knows about Star Wars and probably has heard like something or other about Star Wars. This book makes you be like, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
That guy looks cool.
It's a very spooky cover. Like, it's intriguing.
Yes. I want to know more about him. So that excites me. And then, of course, George Mann, one of the underdogs of Phase 2 of the High Republic, in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing him being the writer on this, I'm excited about that. I am 100% excited about that. I don't know if I will be reading this monthly as it releases, but I will definitely be reading it when all issues are out.
Yep, the trade is due out for release in March.
Good to know.
So that is the plan for me as well. Even though I want to be reading this in advance, but y'all, we had so many emergencies this summer, and we are on a budget.
Yep, that is my idea. You know, I got the same thing. I am picking up what you're putting down, Katie. But there's a book here.
Crash and Burn?
No. Well, you go ahead and talk about Crash and Burn. There's the other one down here that is, I'm more interested in what's going to happen after that, because I don't know if you saw, but have you heard that there's wedding bells in the High Republic?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that, even though it's not in September. I forgot about that, but we have to talk about it. Okay.
I'm gonna find the announcement. Go ahead.
Yeah. Crash and Burn is also written by Daniel Jose Older. Oh, we haven't talked about Daniel Jose Older. It's written by Daniel Jose Older. And it goes into the crew from it's a one-shot, and it goes into the crew from Midnight Horizons adventures. So that is what you can expect there. The next one is also written by Daniel Jose Older. Oh wait, hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. All three of those comics we just talked about out today, September 4th. The next comic that will be released, September 18th, let's go ahead and say that, High Republic Adventures number 10, written by Daniel Jose Older. So that is an ongoing series. It's going to keep going. So that's what you can expect. And then the final thing out this September is Tears of the Nameless by George Mann. And we finally get Reith Silas back as the main character. And I need him. I need him now.
I am very interested in this novel in particular because of our reading of The Edge of Balance number 3. Like this, I think this will be a direct connection with this book, and I want to know more. I need to know more. Like it
Yes.
is getting I think it's working out very perfectly. It's September, but it's leading into the spooky season.
Yeah.
And of course, right now we're dealing with Dringir. They're very spooky, and everything else. Nameless are very spooky as well. So I need it. I need more of this. But
Yes. And did you see the post that I sent you? That was the summary from Star Wars Insider about that book. It had Comac in the summary.
Did you send me something?
I sent
it in a text
in the Star Wars Alliance chat, but it may have been a hot minute. But yes, Comac is in the book, according to Star Wars Insider.
I did not see that. That's exciting.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
I have been wondering what happened to him, and I needed to know. I need to know. So, I'm happy. Okay,
I will say
have the Wedding Bells announcement.
Yes, this was shared, I think, yesterday. Yesterday, Dark Horse announced, save the date. Guests from across the galaxy are invited to a celebration of light, life, and love in the Star Wars High Republic Adventures Phase 3, the Wedding Spectacular one-shot arriving December 18th. Guys, this month, the month of September, you guys are going to be seeing all online and at your local comic shops the solicits. They are for initial dates and final cutoff dates for final order cutoff dates for October to December. So that is why this is being announced now. It doesn't come out until December 18th, but the initial order date is going to happen next month. If you guys want this book, I highly recommend. And if you want more of this content, because this is the stuff that we absolutely love in our Star Wars High Republic era, you guys should 100% pre-order this book, if at all possible. I don't push that very much, but I will say, and Dark Horse is not even one of the books that goes through my distribution company. But I will say, because I am a fan of this content and this book, I will say, if you want more of this content, pre-order this book.
Yes. I love Zine and Lou, so I'm going to order the digital copy just because I don't have a lot of space, but also with a toddler in my in my foresight, whatever you want to call it. I don't want those books torn up.
Exactly. No, I totally understand. I saw a book. I was actually talking to a publisher today about a FOC date and an in-store date and all of that. And it's a book that I have known has been coming out soon. But I also know, I will say this, I'm not going to give out the actual title. It's a coffee table book. Amberlynn is only 1 year old. She's about to turn 2 in literally 2 weeks. Every single piece of paper that is in our living room has been crumpled, ripped in half, thrown, stepped on. It would not survive as a coffee book table. I mean, as a coffee table book. I put those two words backwards. Yeah, it would not survive. So I'm just like, that's just gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to wait until I can possibly trust her, or probably never. So that's very sad.
Yeah, so you can't really tell, but I rearranged my shelves to put all the Star Wars books on higher shelves. Because you can't find hardcover Star Wars books anywhere about 6 months after publication date.
Yeah, 100%. I'm still looking for the Eye of Darkness.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know, I was moving to Indiana during the release of Eye of Darkness.
Yeah.
The week I got here, I saw it at a Target shelf, on the shelf at Target. But it was not smart for me to purchase it. Abby told me that. I told myself that, and I said, hey, I will grab it some other time. And I am pretty sure I still do not have it. I'm pretty sure.
Amazon says it has it.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I am going
for 5 cents more than the paperback.
But is it cheaper than what it was?
Yeah.
Boom, I'm getting it.
I think I paid $24 for it, so.
Hell yeah.
Cool. So yes, very excited for this. I'm so happy because I just read the High Republic Adventures issues 1 through 5. So yeah. I got that under my belt, and I was giddy the whole time. And we're gonna talk about that this month. I don't know if it's gonna be next week or the week after, because we have to talk about that. But yeah.
Yeah, with it being a one-shot, I think it'll be very easy for us to kind of just squeeze in somewhere to be able to talk about.
And it will be a little like disheartening because obviously everything happens in stages. And even though this is a one-shot, it's still happening over the course of the rest of the series. And so they're going to be at issue 12, and I'm going to only have read through issue 5, but I'm going to read this damn issue. All right. Are we ready to talk about episodes 1 through 11 of season 2 of Young Jedi Adventures?
Yes, we are.
So so we're not going to go through the whole entire story because each one of these Young Jedi Adventures is for kids. They're little 15-minute episodes, 2 episodes, and actual episodes. It's about 30 minutes each. But they're all like little lessons about like solving life's problems and how to handle your emotions and fear and stuff. So we're not going to go into too much detail. However, I will say we did get a new character this season. His name is Wes, I believe.
I need to ask you about Wes.
Yes.
Do you like him? And when I say do you like him, I'm not saying do you like him as a character. I'm saying does he really add anything to the episodes that he's in?
Not really.
And I'm gonna be that guy. And again, I find it very important. We've talked about this before. We care about the inclusion of others in the Star Wars universe. I think it's very important. But I think there is a huge mandate for companies like this. Hey, we need this stereotype to be in the show because otherwise it's not. You're talking about inclusion, but you're leaving one important person out, the white guy. And that's kind of all Wes is. He's the white guy.
And not that there's not white people in Star Wars, but you're telling me you couldn't have put like an alien or something here?
Well, when you look at who we have in Young Jedi Adventures, we have the best of everything already. When I saw Wes when I first started watching the show, because again, we have seen the like stills and everything online. I'm like, okay, there's going to be some sort of other Jedi. Okay, he's very tall, so he can't be the same age. He's got to be some sort of either Jedi Knight or Padawan. We find out that he's a Padawan.
Master Zia's Padawan.
And I'm like, okay, but as soon as I saw him in the opening sequence, I'm like, oh, he's going to be a big part of the show. But he's in like every 4 episodes.
He's in 3 episodes.
Well, I say every 4 episodes. There's almost 12 episodes, and
Right.
so
No,
that
I was just giving
tracks.
an actual number.
Yeah, he's in 3 episodes, and as I said, in like they introduce him as like, oh, I'm a Jedi, and I'm Mr. Macho, and you know, and again, I think there is usually, I think even in season 1, there was a youngling that was like this type of character. As far as how he was introduced, this like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm a Jedi, because there's always this sense of, you watch things like Spider-Man, shows about DC, shows about Marvel, you're always going to have that character that's like, oh, I'm a superhero, like, huh, look at me, like, I'm cool. And
Yeah.
you see Wes, and I think they are dealing with pirates the very first episode. And I think it's the ongoing pirates. I can't remember her name.
The Gangles?
Yes, the Gangles. Sorry. And uh so of course they have a reputation with our regular occurring
Our
heroes.
hero trio.
The hero trio, exactly. Um and so like he shows up, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Jedi." And she's like, "Oh, Jedi, whatever." And then she sees the rest of them, she's like, "Oh, it's you guys again." Like, they're more important to her. The younglings are more important to her than this dude that's trying to like act like Mr. Macho. But overall, I think it was just very odd to have Wes's inclusion in these episodes, because there is no massive like importance to his character in those episodes,
Mhm.
you know? Whereas when you see each of these episodes have like the, of course, important lesson, you're learning something from the said like character that's having that issue. Whereas in Wes's case, he's just there. And he's never a focal point of importance as well. Which is why I somehow also kind of think in headcanon, like tongue in cheekly, like the creators of Young Jedi Adventures got this mandate. Oh, they want us to make a white dude. Okay, let's put him in the most unimportant role in this show ever. Okay, boom. That's just how it feels.
Yeah, and like you could definitely say that because he definitely feels like he's kind of like shoehorned in. But I think if you like kind of putting it in my head, like if you look at it with like the Guardian protocols, for instance, like you could potentially say, okay, he was elevated. Master Zia was required to take a Padawan. Like, there's your excuse, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not directly mentioned, but we do know that we are now after Light of the Jedi. And they've got like actual mission attire. Like they're updated to like the dark brown leather mission attire. So I do find that interesting, in a sense. But I did want to kind of go back and talk about the end of season 1 before we got into too much in season 2, because we never got a chance to talk about this because we thought it had ended, but then they dropped like 3 more episodes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And in those episodes, so we've seen Tabor Valdorum is the main pirate. But we see another kid called Cyrus, and we find out that he's actually Tabor. And he's a prince on another planet. And I really kind of got into the story, actually. And I said there wasn't much connection, but I found like that intriguing because we get to a point where Kai's like, I recognize that move because they had just gotten done sparring with Cyrus.
Yeah.
And
I
Tabor pulls a
love
move that's
Cyrus.
identical.
I love Cyrus because in old school comics, and it's slowly dying out in modern comics, and it kind of makes me sad. But the idea of a dual identity, the superhero having the everyday job versus having his superhero job or their superhero job. So Cyrus being this prince that's very much caring of his home world, his planet, the village outside of his palace, like the people, everything, genuinely cares. And then you learn, holy crap, this is the same guy who's been this pirate that has been the thorn in our hero's side for all of season 1. Are you kidding me? Like, how is this caring individual a pirate? And it's, again, the stereotypical, like, oh, I've been a prince all my life, there's nothing exciting going on, so I have to make the excitement. And he chose to go the way of the pirate. It's fun. It really is just fun. And there's been moments even in season 1 where they've had to work together, and it kind of hurts Cyrus in
Mhm.
the episode that you're talking about, because there's these moments where other villains are talking to the younglings and they're like, "Oh, where's your friend Torvin?" And they're like, "He's not our friend." And like Cyrus is like, "Oh," like you could see the physical
Yep.
reaction to him, like, "Oh, that kind of hurt. What the heck?" So it's a very endearing story, and I genuinely love it. I
Yeah.
think it's one of my favorites of the Young Jedi adventures. Um, I think one of my favorite characters, also talking about heroes, is Nash. Um, Nash took a while to grow on me in season 1. Um, Captain Black Bolt, the very first episode, where Nash is talking about like the legend of Black Bolt, and again talking about like getting into the spooky season for Halloween. If you guys have kids, watch that first episode with Captain Black Bolt. I'll actually look at the episode title. uh I think it's episode number 5, The Terror of Tanu,
Yeah.
is the first part of that episode, and it is the Prince of Masks. But The Terror of Tanu is quite possibly my favorite episode of season 2. Um, but Nash is another character throughout all of season 1, and we see less of her in season 2, which I think it's because of Wes. But it is what it is. I have to accept that, and hopefully there's a nice balance between Nash and
Yeah.
West in season 3, or the second part of season 2. I hope.
Yeah, I think they definitely tried to lean more towards an overarching story, at least with like Tabor and Kai
Hmm.
through this, which is kind of why we see less of the like, oh, Nash will transport you to this planet and like bring you back kind of thing, which is where we end up because the episodes where that Wes is primarily in, they're either not traveling or they travel and you don't see the travel sequence.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think probably my favorite episode was actually episode 7 with the Andraven circuit. Um and oh my gosh, I can't remember his name, but it's like the ones with the Welgrens and the kid is doing his ancestral circuit and they like
Oh,
he has the data pad.
the with the flute,
Yeah.
with the wolf. Yeah.
That I just found super endearing because that's totally me. I would go out and be like, I researched this. I have a computer. Like it's got my path. And then
It's so me and Amberlyn were watching this episode actually right before we were started recording. And in my mind, I'm like, because there's a moment where he actually tells the younglings, like, "Oh, we can't use the Force because my ancestors didn't use the
yep.
Force." And in my head, I'm like, "You're using a data pad. What are you talking about? Like, you're such a hypocrite." And then later on in the episode, Kai tells him, like, "Well, your ancestors didn't have a data pad, so even though it's broken, you should be fine. Like, let's go, find this whatever. And I was like, finally, somebody speaks some truth into this kid.
Yes.
So that one was really, really cute. I really did enjoy that episode as well. We did get another appearance of oh
A
shoot.
character that we know and love, Maz Kanata.
Yes.
Oh, you were talking about somebody else.
Yeah, I was talking about oh my gosh. Uh the name has literally escaped me. Episode 2. Um uh uh
Oh,
Lo-
Belle.
Bell. Gosh, I was like, why can I not remember his name? We did see Bell
Uh-huh.
again in very early in this season.
I honestly
Episode
forgot
2.
about that because I watched that last week and my weekend was just insane. So
So yeah, we saw another appearance of Bell. There was another Jedi in oh gosh.
there was about 2 episode with those two
So no,
from
there was another black human that I thought was Bell again, but he was apparently a Jedi master and he also had a
yes.
yellow.
So that's the Batu episode.
Okay, it was the Batu episode. Okay.
Yeah. Master Dro, I think is his name.
Okay. Yeah, when oh, that was the episode where the little girl was
Yeah,
wanting to
Lys's
be a
lost
Jedi.
lightsaber. That was
Yes.
another good one.
That was so good. I love that one as well. I'm trying to think if there was any other episodes that really stood out to me. More Wookiees is always the best. There was
Yep.
the Life Day feast, and that is actually Life Day has been a episode for each season now. I wonder
Yep.
if that's going to be something that we see throughout the history of the show. Is every season will have a Life Day episode.
I hope so.
Um,
I love getting like and everybody like some people like to make fun of the Life Day stuff because of the Star Wars holiday special. Like that's where it
mhm.
literally came from. But like there's just such a like element of like nostalgia to it where you're like this is amazing.
Well, not only that, but you have this idea of in our days of television, there were shows that had your annual Christmas
Mhm.
episode and
Yeah.
Halloween episode and all of these other things. And you can't really have that with Star Wars because, yes, they have holidays, but nothing has been like super concrete established. So you have things like Life Day, which is like, hey, like this is a reoccurring thing. It's the easiest thing to do with the probably the less amount of work. So let's just do it, you know? So
Yeah.
I think it's very nice as well. The fact that they had both episodes with this ceremony of the Wookiees, I think is very nice. It's a reoccurring thing as well. Trying to think of some other things with Nubs. Nubs is always a great character.
Yeah, I love
He
Nubs.
for somebody who of course is like verbal and non-verbal at the same time, like you can definitely hear words come out of his mouth sometimes, but most of the time he is speaking a completely different language. uh
Yeah.
I
What's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. It's oh, D. Bradley Baker does an incredible job
oh
doing his
yes.
voice.
Hmm. But I love Nubs as an all spectrum of the emotion, like all around the emotional spectrum. You see Nubs gets angry, he gets scared, he's brave, he's
His little ears
silly.
drooping, like
I think like there's an episode, I think it is the episode with Cyrus in it, where uh they all get captured and like Nubs is like super frustrated, and he just like goes like this, and they're like, Nubs, you're free. And Nubs like looks at his hands like, oh, okay, cool. And it's so funny because you see right off the bat in the opening sequence in season 1 and in season 2, he has super strength because of his species. He just has super strength, and he forgets about it all the time, which I think is absolutely hilarious because he's so small. I think it's hilarious.
And he actually has like a little episode on his own, actually. Nubs' big mistake, where he and Yoda find an old lightsaber from a Pubian Jedi.
Yeah.
That and like you see like this big like teddy bear creature like on the wall.
Huge, like this big dude. I need more of that species. I think if we were to get more of them, because we haven't seen, like, even in this show, we have not seen another Pubian at all. So I would really like to see it being established, whether that be in more of the High Republic comics, or even in a novel of some kind. Like I for one, you have now established that the race is not all but lost with Nubs, because there was a Jedi at some point of the same species. But don't make Nubs like Yoda and Grogu. Like, oh, it's 1 in a million, you know? Like, I want more. They're cute and funny, and I want more.
Yeah. That's really all I had, though. I thought this season did a really good job. I forgot. There is one thing that I greatly appreciated, and that's that they're going back to planets and people that they've already visited.
Yes.
And it's not like the Bad Batch, because that was an issue I had with the Bad Batch, where it was like where we had team building episodes, but they were always to a new planet. Like, I appreciate that these kids are going back to the same planets and building relationships, because I think that's an important thing for kids to do.
Yeah.
Is like not just skip around and go like, oh, well, I'll just make a new friend somewhere else. Like, don't forget about the people you left behind.
Yeah, I think it's very, very fun. There's reoccurring villains as well, like we said. Some of the same pirates. There is also a building relationship with them as well. But also the new villains also became reoccurring. Captain Black Bolt, out of nowhere.
There's 2 episodes. Yeah,
showed up, and I was like, oh, because even Kai was like, I thought Nash, threw you on the other side of the galaxy. And it's the most comic booky answer ever. But he's like, oh, I fixed my ship and I was able to get back. It's like, what? Okay, sure. Let's just go with that then. So yeah, overall, I am really enjoying this show. I think it's even more of a fun experience that, like, Amber Lynn can sit right next to me and actually pay attention to this show. It's very colorful. It's very bright. I will say, I think the animation has improved 100% on this show. If you look back at season 1 and season 2, there is just something about the rendering on season 2 that just looks so crisp and so good. I actually really love the animation of this show.
Yeah, it looks really good. But I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so as well. So guys, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter and any and all social media. I will say I've been a little bit more active on Twitter. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I have been doing a lot of content creation for the video game Marvel Snap. It is a mobile game where you create decks and play and stuff. I have had a lot of fun making those decks, making the graphics for them, and having a lot of community interaction on Twitter, and going semi-viral. I will say that, 48,000 views, I think, is pretty fun. I'm not going to toot my own horn and such, but it's. I will tell you, the euphoria of working really hard and then seeing that a lot of people are actually looking at it and liking it and stuff like that. It's fun. And it's the poison of the internet. And I will say I'm addicted to it. It's fun. But yeah, if you are into that kind of content and you want to see that content, go ahead and follow me there on Twitter. I have been a very neglectful host of Ranger Alliance. I missed an episode this week, so we're having a double drop on next Monday. We will be having an episode with Jake and an episode with Joe. It'll go back to back. So hope you guys enjoy that. We are getting to the point of the passing of the torch in Power Rangers Turbo. We're going to be getting a brand new cast of characters finally, and that's going to be fun. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, what about you, Katie?
So y'all can follow me on most social media platforms at Slice of Katie. Please remember that I am a new mom, apparently about to go through a 4-month regression and a teething 4-month-old all at the same time. So I don't post a crap ton, and when I do, it's to drown myself in entertainment or football because it's football season. Yay! So that's what you will be following, and pictures of my baby. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, this show you can follow on Twitter's at Star Wars Lights of the 8 in the Wars. Very important. Don't forget it. Don't forget you can email us at that same username. It's at gmail.com or shoot us a text or a voicemail. It is 830-538-4828. Just give us a nickname so we know how to call you out on the show and shout you out for sending us some things. If you got a reaction to the Acolyte being canceled that we didn't cover, shoot us a message. If you want to talk about Young Jedi Adventures, tell us how much your kid is loving the show. Do that. We are talking about Beware the Nameless next week. It's going to be its own special episode drop because Clay and I are going to record that this weekend. So you can expect that then, but we do want to get you guys that review because Zoraida, as always, chef's kiss. She does an incredible job. I just gotta say that. I gotta say that right now. And then the main topic for next week's live episode, TBD. We will talk about it. And it'll either be Aftermath Life Debt or the High Republic Adventures Volume 1. That's what you can expect. So, yeah. With that, guys, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you're listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you.